These are my new adventure panniers, and I selected them specifically because they have these release clips on the back that fasten onto my pannier racks. So you don't have to laboriously strap the bags on and off the racks. They quick release. And then there are 2 buckles on each end and 2 buckles on the bottom to compress the load. And they have these cute little adjusters on there that you can adjust and then snap them in place. And that's supposed to lock, which is all well and good, but I really, really hate these plastic buckles. I can't tell you how many times I've broken one of these tabs off. And without 2 tabs, this buckle is junk. Generally don't break this end, but I've broken this end, because when you want to cinch this down and tighten it up, you're going to snap that off. You're going to pull that out and it's going to break. Well, this buckle, you have to unsnap it, adjust it, and then snap it to lock it. The very first time I got this out of the package and I wrapped this strap around the frame on my pannier rack, this little locking tab fell off. It's held in place by 2 minute little bumps, and it fell off. And that is junk. Well, if you've got dozens of backpacks and dry sacks and all kinds of things, you end up with a lot of extra pieces. And this is a strap that I kept from something. And one of these buckles is a pretty close match. Not exact, but it snaps in. The problem is this buckle was actually inserted in this strap before it was even sewed onto the bag, and then they doubled this over and sewed this tab on here, so you can't even get this through the buckle, so you cut that off. But I was able to get a buckle to fit, and it snaps in and out. It's not a perfect fit, but you can make it work. Actually, it's not this one. It's this one. It's a little bit smaller, and it works. But it's the same type of thing. Eventually, when you pull this down and you want to cinch that tight, one of these little fingers is going to break off. So what's the solution? Well, if you have extra buckles like I do, you will stash that in the pocket so that you have a spare when it breaks. But here's the right solution. So here's the solution to the plastic buckles. And again, these are the cinch straps on both ends of the bag that allow you to compress the load. So you want to crank those down very tight. So instead of the plastic buckles, I substituted, I cut off the old, this would be the female receiving end, cut those off, and that leaves a loop. And then you substitute these. This is called a G hook or clasp, and it simply slips in the loop, and then you can tighten it. This is aluminum. I don't care how hard you pull on it, you're not going to break this strap, you're not going to break the buckle, and you're not going to pull out that loop. So I am gradually replacing all the plastic buckles with these. And what's ironic is that the bags come with heavy duty ones on the top. These are the heavier straps, but these are also designed to cinch down that load at the top. So they're smart enough to use these on the top, but they use the cheap buckles on the side. So for just a few dollars, you can substitute these in advance of breaking them, because if you break one out in the middle of the trail, this is the strap that holds the bag tight against the rack. And you can probably get by with one and it'll just flop around. But if you would break both of them, you're completely out of luck. You'd have to tie knots or something in the strap. But why not use these from the beginning? They're obviously the right tool for the job, and this will last forever. So huge improvement. And if you can't find them or you don't want to do it yourself, let me know, and I'll order these, cut off the buckles and replace them for you, and you'll be completely trouble-free permanently. Here's a breakdown of the plastic parts that I eliminated on my panniers. The very first time I went to hook up the panniers to my rack, this little locking latch broke off. So I did have a replacement, but I replaced, instead of replacing it with a plastic, I used metal clips to replace those. These are the second pair of hand grips that were on the outside of the pack that served no purpose. So I got those off so they aren't just flapping in the wind. And then these are the little D-rings that were all around the outside of the panniers. They used to be 4 on the front and the back here, and I replaced those. The main difference is the panniers came with these really heavy duty, they're called G clasps or clips, and I replaced the plastic buckles on the side with aluminum ones the same way. So instead of this plastic buckle that broke the first time I used it, these are indestructible, and you can reef on it, and they're self-locking, and then you tuck the excess straps in. So in combination, there's 4 of those now, 2 in the front and 2 in the back, that go around the side pannier racks, and you can literally lift up the bike with the bag. It's on there so securely now. I cannot recommend using anything that has these types of plastic buckles. Eventually you're going to break the little tab, or you're going to break this back part, and then you're screwed, because then how are you going to tie it on? You're going to have to tie a knot in that strap. So I want to do an update on these panniers that I've added to the Royal Enfield Himalayan. These are from a company called Rhino Walk, and I bought them because I thought they were just the ideal size for my style of riding. Today I have a pack on here, and this is my daily rider, and I just have some miscellaneous tools and my tire kit and my raincoat in there. But if I'm going on an overnight trip, I have a larger 30-liter tank bag that fits on here, and then I have a really huge, about a 50-liter duffel that'll go on there if I'm going to be gone for weeks at a time. But for panniers, I don't see any reason to have anything larger than this. I think these are 20-liter, and I've got them fairly compressed right now. I just have some miscellaneous soft stuff in there today just for test fitting. They do have an outer pocket, which I don't plan to to expand, but that would be handy for a raincoat or maps or some basically flat things. There's some MOLLE strips on here which I don't really see any use for. The biggest thing that the biggest reason that I chose these over some of the competition models was that this bag has a clip, 2 clips here that connect to the bar, and you can pull this up and the clips release. So the bags are actually suspended by this heavy bracket. Now I wouldn't rely on that clip all by itself to keep the bags on. So they have 2 straps at the front and the back that are secured to these loops. And believe me, they are on there tight. I think I could lift the whole bike just from the bags. But the very first time that I put them on the bike, there was a smaller version of this type of black plastic clip that was on both of these straps, and it was a fancy clip that had a little folding lever locking buckle. And the very first time that I used it, one of the folding buckles broke right out of the package. So on the sides, you can see that this is a roll top. You roll it over and then you clip it down. And I don't mind these plastic buckles for that. There's really very little tension on there. But to further compress the bag, this strap comes over the top of the rolled lid, and then it has these metal clips. And there's various names for them. I call them G clips. So what I did was, right here was the strap with this type of buckle, and then on this end was the receiving end, the female end of that buckle, and then this was the male end that snapped in, and the little clip broke. Now I've had numerous buckles like this break over the years, and usually one of these fingers breaks. If you really yank on it, usually one of these fingers will break. I've also broken the little cross piece that fastens between the webbing. I mean, if you really want to reef down on it and secure your load, I've broken those. I've broken them on waist straps on backpacks. I've broken them on the secured suspension straps on my bicycle for bike packing, and I've broken them on motorcycle packs. And I won't go into the wilderness for days and days at a time with my load suspended from those plastic straps. So I replaced these. I took a side cutter and I snipped those off, and they were attached to these loops, and those loops are just perfect for these black aluminum clips. And then the strap is doubled back through there, and then they have little plastic or elastic keepers that hook on there. So I broke one right off the bat. I took my side cutters out and I cut the other ones off. So I eliminated, there's 2 on each side, 4, 8 per set. I cut those off and threw those away, and I added these. And I'll add a link in the description here to show you where I got those. But literally probably took me 15 minutes, 20 minutes maybe. These straps actually were through the buckle, and they had a doubled over end that was sewn on it, so I had to cut that end off the strap and melt that too. But between those two operations, 15-20 minutes, I replaced all the plastic buckles front and back on both bags, And now this is secured on there forever, and that can never break. And in my estimation, these bags are now comparable or a substitute for bags that I have seen that sell for many times more. I had another company that wanted to send me some bags to feature in a article like this, and they were over $400. These are just over $100, and they will carry everything that those more expensive bags will carry. There is a separate liner inside there as well. That's waterproof. So that's the repair. That's the upgrade for these Rhino Walk motorcycle panniers. And in my opinion, they're the right size. They're heavy-duty construction. And now, with the replacement of the plastic buckles for unbreakable aluminum retention straps, they should be indestructible.